Hello, everybody, and welcome into another News and Rumors video here at the Hockey Writers. And I'm always joined in by Peter Baracchini for the Maple Leafs News and Rumors. How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, definitely. Again, it seems like every week there's always something to talk about with the Leafs, and slow start than usual to the regular season. Even last year was a bit of a it was a slow one, but this one appears to be a little bit slower, and there's a lot of talk and rumors and news going around right now. So happy to be back.
For sure. Yeah, there's quite a bit going around. They are, like you say, it haven't started out the best this season yet, but lots of season to go. So it can change pretty quickly. But yeah, they're not firing on all cylinders. They are coming off a win, though, in overtime. And that was John Tavares's. We'll start there with John Tavares getting one goal closer to 500 in his career. Of course, not all 500 were scored with the Maple Leafs, with New York Islanders as well, but a lot of them with the Leafs. What do you think about that approaching milestone here?
Yeah, it just seems like JT is just aging like a fine wine, basically, right now. It just seems like ever since the last few seasons, everyone has been complaining about the contract. It doesn't quite fit the bill where he was producing. Close to 40 goals last year, almost 80 points, almost under a point per game, and he's well above that right now with 12 and 9, 5 goals, one away from 500. And like you mentioned, too, he's already scored 272 with the New York Islanders, 227, possibly 228 soon with the Maple Leafs. And it's an incredible feat whenever you hit, 500 goals regardless. It just shows how well you're able to find the back of the net consistently. And JT has done that throughout his entire career. He's been a capable 30, 40 goal scorer. And right now, that contract that he signed with a little bit of deferred payment, taking a little bit of a cut to give the team extra cap space to try and prove this team and win for the foreseeable future. It's kind of looking like a steal right now because he left money on the table to just stay in Toronto, and he's getting it done regardless. So happy for him, happy that he's one away, and hopefully next week we could maybe talk about him hitting 500. So, but yeah, it was also very fitting too that it happened to happen on a game-winning goal where the Maple Leafs desperately needed a win too, and he's kind of that catalyst to try and push them forward now.
Yeah, I'm of course not the captain anymore. It seems like he's maybe elevated a bit since and having the C taken. I'm not taken away, but kind of transferring it over to Auston Matthews. He's been very impressive at later stages of his career and still able to put up really good numbers. In his mid 30s here, and who knows? He might have a few more years left under his belt, and maybe another 20, 30 goal seasons to come. So we'll see where he ends up at the end of his career, how much more maybe closing in. I don't know about closing in on 600, but we'll see where that goes. All right. Well, speaking of the roster now, there are the rumors, trade rumors, of course, always going around. And the latest one is on Yegor Chinakhov from the Columbus Blue Jackets. It came out, Elliot Friedman said that they had talked about it in the summer and was centered around Nicholas Robertson. Of course, the Blue Jackets rejected that one-for-one type trade. But now it's still around. They're still checking in. Where do you think this will go with Chinakhov?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it kind of feels like this is that kind of trade where, it's a change of scenery for both players. Chinakhov has been expressing his frustration overall with the lack of minutes, not even barely getting any play time this season. And he already has a goal and an assist so far in 5 games, but very limited. And based on how the Columbus Blue Jackets are constructed, they're getting results and they're getting contributions elsewhere. So moving him makes sense, but I don't know why the hesitation is still there. The Maple Leafs are still looking to move Nick Robertson. I think it's the best situation for everyone, both player and team, where there may be a bit more of a fit, or there could have been more of a fit for Robertson in Columbus, especially on the right side where he could elevate a little bit more, use that a little bit more speed game. And the Maple Leafs need a little bit more defense and, a little bit more grit and power to their game as they want to emulate that kind of play style. And Chinakhov brings that constantly. Mm-hmm. So it is really interesting that, that the Blue Jackets declined and they're still holding Chinakhov in limbo about a possible move. And everything just seems continues to go a little bit more south with that situation right now. But if the Maple Leafs still want to acquire him, I still feel like he's an ideal player. don't know if that production is going to increase over time because he only had his career best was 29 points in 23-24, but everything started to take a step back previously. And, obviously you want accountability. You need someone to step up, especially at the Maple Leafs right now where they need everyone to step up because they lost Mitch Marner. Everyone's still trying to find their groove right now with the depth that they added. Could Chinakhov possibly be another player that could be that depth that could push them forward? It's very well possible. And he's got the size, he's got the power, he's got the strength. I think he would be a good addition, but I think the Maple Leafs would like a little bit more skill as opposed to just having that what if mentality if he's going to bounce back, kind of like Matias Maccelli right now. They already took a gamble on one. They could take one on another with Chinakhov, but I think they would like a little bit more high-end skill to go with Auston Matthews.
For sure. And I mean, there's a ton of teams that have apparently checked in on him. It's not just the Maple Leafs. So, I mean, we'll see where that goes. I mean, it doesn't seem like Waddell's going to take just this first offer that teams are going. So he wants some value. And of course, they already rejected the Nicholas Robertson straight up. So we'll see what they actually want. I mean, a trade will actually happen. All right. Extending upon that, I know you wrote an article about Tage Thompson potentially being a target if the Sabres continue on their downward spiral. They've played a little better lately, but is that the main guy you're kind of focusing in on, or other guys that the Maple Leafs should be looking at?
There are definitely other guys that the Maple Leafs should look on, and it shouldn't just be Tage Thompson. I know he's a center, but I feel like he could be utilized on the wing, especially if he's going to play the Olympics. He's going to have to get used to that. And again, I kind of like put it out there that why not have an all Arizona line of Knies, Matthews, and Thompson again. The only hindrance is just the cost. The Maple Leafs don't have a whole lot of assets, and even in a new piece I'm coming out right now about like the whole right wing situation, Brad Treliving's going to have his work cut out to be a little bit creative like he was last year where we thought he didn't have a whole lot of trade assets. Is he going to move a top prospect? Who knows? But after his comments, Tage Thompson has been on fire and, he's got 4 goals, 8 points in 9 games. So that's the kind of player that ideally I would like on the Maple Leafs that can have that physicality, that can have that goal scoring ability, complement Auston Matthews, has that playmaking aspect as well. And again, he's got size. All that whole line is going to be at least over 6'3". And, he would have a little bit more strength compared to Matthews. Maybe fall in line with Knies that could battle a little bit more in the corners. But I feel like I feel like he's a good fit, but also Alex Tuch would be a good fit. I've been a big proponent on getting Rickard Rakell from the Pittsburgh Penguins, even when he was back with the Anaheim Ducks for a long time. I think that he fits that bill of a top 6 scoring power forward winger that could do a lot of damage in tight. I feel like those 3 are up more the Maple Leafs alley compared to there could be other names out there, but there's not a whole lot of substance. Then again, there's not a whole lot of substance to Thompson being moved because that was just a hypothetical. If even on Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts said that if things get worse, who knows what can happen.
Yeah.
Now that things are kind of settled down and the Sabres are leveling off a little bit, that has kind of cooled down. Same thing with Alex Tuch. I don't know if they would move on from Alex Tuch given how well they're playing right now. Pittsburgh Penguins, maybe a little bit different situation where they could still move Rakell and get other pieces back. Well, they're playing a little bit better, but who knows how long that's going to last. So it's good to keep tabs on those names because they feel like those could be the top names that the Maple Leafs could acquire, or there could be another name as soon as the trade deadline approaches where the rumors will definitely amp up, but no like connection to any of them. It's just all pure speculation and possible fits at this point.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing. The Sabres and the Penguins have gotten off to a surprising start. Everyone kind of think they weren't going to be very good. But I mean, that can also change. I mean, there's so many teams that are on slow starts that are contenders, and you're like, well, it's probably not going to last. So, I mean, that's the same thing with these other teams. So we'll see how that all goes and what other these names become available eventually. All right. Well, the big topic you mentioned off the top is that top 6, top line that still hasn't really been solidified. Auston Matthews hasn't really clicked with a right winger, except maybe Matthew Knies, in that Mitch Marner being gone. So it's still in flux. Nicholas Robertson is getting a chance in that top line with Nylander's injury. What do you think? Where is this going? I mean, is this going to be an issue for a long time, or are they going to actually find someone to click with Matthews?
Well, I know Craig Berube would like this to happen sooner rather than later, and hope chemistry's found very quickly, because even he said he's growing tired of trying to find that combination too. But yeah, Max Domi just didn't quite work out for a lot of reasons. I'm doing a post on like what has worked and what hasn't so far. And Max Domi has been by far the worst right winger for Auston Matthews, which in the past he was kind of one of the better ones.
Yeah.
But the numbers just don't show it. Nick Robertson, I thought he had an okay game against the Buffalo Sabres, but really felt that it was kind of lacking a little bit at times at 5-on-5. And again, that's the consistency factor with Robertson. You want someone that could be consistent. Easton Cowan, in his short time, he's looked good. He's providing that compete. Again, rookie mistakes every now and then, but that's to be expected. But I thought he's been holding his own, especially with a top guy like Auston Matthews, and even with another young player like Matthew Nyes. Felt like William Nylander is that whole worst case scenario, pulling out all the cards kind of stop, and Craig Berube had to go to that. And lo and behold, William Nylander was the best fit. Got injured, but even when he had to make a change against the New Jersey Devils, seemed like William Nylander was the better fit, and he was driving play more so than when Max Domi was on the other wing. So it is still in flux. I feel like Robertson did get his chance. He scored on the power play, but it wasn't 5-on-5. Again, I thought he was just okay. I hate to go back to like a whole Randy Carlyle quote like from years back, but he's got to do a little bit more to maintain that spot, because especially if Nylander's healthy, you could rest assured that Berube could possibly go to him against the Calgary Flames when they play next. Could he go back to Easton Cowan? Who knows? That option is there as well. And I feel like you can't really take Michelli out of that second line, because I feel like he's performing very well and making or finding good chemistry with Tavares and now Matthew Nyes, who got bumped down for Bobby McMahon. So a little bit of role reversal has been made already, where that line is starting to click, and now it's up to everyone else to try and step up and prove their worth that they can play alongside Matthews right now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's so many different options. One hasn't really stood out as the big one. I would say Nylander is probably the best to the skill level, but you're really top loading your top line. Nylander it's better if he's on the second line. But I mean, what works is what works. So I mean, we'll see how they actually it'd be nice to have a solidified top line, especially in the next few weeks rather than months from now. All right. I mean, you mentioned Cowan. The third line is one that's kind of, I know the old prof in his News and Rumors articles, he mentioned this line, Dakota Joshua, Nick Waugh, and Easton Cowan as a third line, and they were pretty effective in the last game. So could they be an effective trio, one that they just keep together here?
It's definitely looking like it. For Dakota Joshua and Nick Waugh, it was a little bit of a feeling out process because they're the new faces. Wanted to see if they could actually start playing a little bit more to their level. And Easton Cowan kind of has that gritty compete factor that he could play with that could complement a bottom six. Again, at times they got hemmed in their zone, but there are times where they got the offensive going. Again, Joshua scored in back-to-back games where Easton Cowan was a factor on both of those goals, getting 2 assists in back-to-back games as well. So it kind of feels like, again, chemistry is forming right there, but what's going to happen when, Max Domi is not going to be in that top 6 anymore? It kind of feels like he's bumped down a little bit further. Now what's going to happen when Scott Laughton comes back? Is Kalle Järnkrok going to come back in? Is he going to be on the third line? Is Cowan going to get bumped down again? So it kind of feels like a lot of what if scenarios, but if they had that drive and presence consistently, I feel like this could be an effective third line where was he a very strong two-way presence. He could attack the middle of the ice very well. Same with Joshua. We saw him cut through the middle, hold off the defenders, and go opposite side on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for that tying goal recently. And Easton Cowan is just an Energizer bunny. He has no off switch. He's very competitive. He battles hard. That's a kind of good dynamic where you have two-way presence, energy, and a little bit of power to your game that could effectively be a difference maker later on in the season. And yeah, he could, Cowan could still be that factor, or he could get bumped down because I know he had good chemistry with Lawton and Lorentz in the preseason. So it seems like no matter where Cowan is right now, he's forming chemistry with everybody. Be a top line, third, fourth, possibly even second at some point. But I do like the steps that both Joshua and Waugh have taken. Again, kind of like Michelli, feeling out process, still trying to get their groove in. But I think the last 2 games were the kind of players that the Maple Leafs expected them to see, and I think they're going to maintain that going forward.
Yeah, it really reminds me of Joshua had a really good stint with Connor Garland and Teddy Bluger a couple seasons ago. They're one of the Canucks' best lines, and it seems like a similar type alignment. So I'm not surprised that Joshua's kind of thriving with players like that. So yeah, it could be a really good line, especially as it, in the playoffs as it gets going there too. So we'll see how long they stay together. All right, finishing with the crease, and this was Joseph Woll coming back, which is great for the Maple Leafs and for him. But it's going to take a bit of time. It's reportedly that he hasn't been practicing, he hasn't been skating or anything like that in the time off. So it's going to take some time for him to get his bearings back. So what do you think about this? I mean, I'll loop this into Anthony Stolarz not really having his best season to start. Having Woll come back and have that tandem back in play. What do you think about Joseph Woll coming back here?
Yeah, it's definitely a great step for him. I hope that whatever was affecting him personally, I hope that he's doing okay right now. And it's a good sign that he is coming back because, again, kudos to Cade and Primo for providing some good consistency in tough situations and giving the Maple Leafs a chance to win. Again, you had that option with Dennis Hildeby, but Primo had the experience. And right now with Joseph Woll coming back, yeah, he's going to be a little bit cold, especially if he hasn't been training. I think we'll find a little bit more info when he's made available. But it has to feel good because he brings a great amount of presence. He's very positive. He's very upbeat around the locker room. And you can tell that with everyone's comments post-game. The fact that he is returning too. So that's a really good sign that energy and that positivity is coming back into the locker room. And again, Woll and Stolarz feed off each other. They're both very competitive. And I get that last season with Stolarz or with Woll being out initially, Stolarz took and ran away with it. When Stolarz went down, Woll basically ran away with it. So they can jump in at any point when one is struggling or one isn't playing well or not up to or not at 100%. So I feel like right now it could be a little bit of a reset for Stolarz too, even though he is the starter, because the numbers that he has right now, not as good as compared to last year. I mean, 926 save percentage last season and 2.14 goals against, 885, 330 right now. That's not ideal, especially considering that he is the number one, or you're going to go to him, especially in big game situations too, right? And I also, I've had conversations about this as well. The Maple Leafs do not have Lane Lambert defensively. So that could attribute to a lot of their in-zone play, defensive awareness, lack of, mitigating the shots on net, making the job easier for Stolarz. Then again, Stolarz did have a couple bad goals that he has allowed, especially that one on Jack Hughes where, the game before he called out his team about his performance, and lo and behold, still nothing happened. And when the team needed him, he didn't quite have that performance. So it is a little bit concerning right now, but I feel like they will figure it out. And with Woll coming back, I think that's a good thing for Stolarz as well, where he could be on his toes a little bit more, make the stuff that he may need to make every single time, and basically have that back and forth with Woll. Because if Stolarz is going to be like this throughout the whole entire season, then there's going to be a lot more pressure on Joseph Woll, especially coming back. Again, we don't know what was affecting him. But that's going to be a lot for him to handle as well. I feel like he would be up to the task, but coming into this situation right now is a little bit dicey for him as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything kind of goes smooth. But I mean, it takes a bit of time, especially when you're looking at goalies that sometimes they don't get training camp. Like look at Jeremy Swayman last season. He didn't get a training camp or preseason and had one of his worst seasons. So, I mean, we'll see how long it takes for Woll to get back up to speed. But, I mean, it's good to have Stolarz there. I think he'll probably bounce back from these numbers that he's got. It's good to have him back,
Mhm.
at least on the road back right now for sure. All right. Well, thanks, Peter, for coming on, talking Maple Leafs. Lots of stuff to talk about as we continue throughout the season here, and we'll see what happens. We'll be talking about next week. Tavares will have his 500th or not. I'm assuming he will, but I mean, you never know. There's not that many games between. But we'll see how that all goes. But make sure to check out everything at hockeywriters.com. We got great articles out there. Of course, all the games get recaps, takeaways. Make sure checking all that out, and our Substack newsletters. Subscribe to that if you haven't already, and all the other YouTube videos we've got out there. But until our next one, we'll see you next time.